Hi everyone, my name is Jen. I'm an author and a book reviewer, and today we're going to have a bit of a catch-up, a reading catch-up. We are playing catch-up, and you haven't seen my face for a while because I've been pretty sick. I had COVID for the first time in 5 years. It entered our home, and I've been pretty ill. And I won't dwell on that because it's boring to hear about, and also you'll see me looking quite sick, to be honest, in the next video you see, which will be the Booker Prize long list reading vlog, which I'm currently filming. And when I started filming that, I wasn't feeling great, so you can look forward to that one. But anyway, the short and short of it is I wasn't very well at all, and now I'm much better. The end. Today in this video I want to talk about what I've been reading, what I have bought, and also some new releases that I am anticipating, kind of sandwiching all of those things together. I didn't read much last month. I caught up with you at the end of June, I think it was, talking to you about all the books I've read so far this year, and then I did a video at the beginning of July where I talked about my best books of 2025 so far, so I'll link both of those videos in the description box down below. But since then, because I was sick, I reverted back to nostalgic audiobook listens. I don't mind telling you that I thoroughly enjoyed re-listening to The Girls Quartet by Jacqueline Wilson. It soothed my soul so much. So that's basically what I read in July, plus two disappointments actually, and one of them makes me really, really sad. I tried to read Ripeness by Sarah Moss, and I had to put this book down. I adore Sarah Moss so much. I love her books. I've never not finished reading one of her books. I've always loved them. And for some reason, this just wasn't working for me. And I didn't read it when I was sick, so it wasn't that, but maybe it was the time and place. But yeah, this is a book about family, about sisters, about traveling across Europe, and no, it wasn't for me. So I'm going to come back to it in the future at some point because I'm very surprised by the way that I didn't fall in love with it. If you've read it, let me know what you thought. And then this, which is Strange Pictures by Uketsu, which is translated from the Japanese by Jim Rion. I thought this was actively bad. This is a book that has been published by an anonymous Japanese YouTuber who I believe on his channel does like cryptic videos with pictures, and this is a novelized version of those things. And there are several books now out in a similar vein, and I just do not get the hype about this. If you have read this and enjoyed it or not enjoyed it, please do tell me in the comment section down below. I just thought it was there were a lot of words that I didn't think it was saying very much, is how I felt about this book. So that was a disappointment. All right, so that's what I've been reading since we last checked in, apart from the Booker Prize reading. The books are lined up on the floor over there. I'll do a cutaway so you can see them. I don't want to chat about those here because obviously I'm dedicating a whole reading vlog to reading them. I do this every year with both the Women's Prize and the Booker Prize. I read the whole long list. I film an epic reading vlog that's normally about an hour and a half long, and we talk about all the books. So you're going to hear me waffle on about those in the future, so let's not repeat ourselves. But just as a spoiler for that video so far, I have feelings about Flesh by David Saloy. I'm enjoying Misinterpretation by Lydia Choga, and I am falling in love with Flashlight, like so much. I am really, really enjoying that book. I am sure that many of you are familiar with what's on the long list. If not, you can visit the Booker Prize website, but also I have uploaded the first part of my Booker Prize reading vlog to Patreon. If you want to go see me discover what these books are, if you want to know a bit about them, you can head over and watch that if you would like. That's listed in the description box down below. So that's currently reading. Let's talk about books I have purchased. Are there many here actually? There are two. I have purchased, oh no, three, sorry, there are three. There are three books that I have purchased recently, and then we can move on to some books that I'm highly anticipating, some of which actually have just come out, but I haven't bought yet because I'm trying to be sensible with books that I'm purchasing if I'm not going to read them straight away. I'm just adding them to a wish list, and then I will get to them when I get to them. Seems like a clever thing to do in the grand scheme of things, so that's what I'm doing. And the three books that I have purchased recently, we've got Diary of a Void by Yagi. I have actually started reading this. I'm 37 pages in, but I've paused it because I have gone into the Booker Prize book, so I will return to this afterwards. But I am so excited about this because I loved her book Diary of a Void, which was one of my favourite books a couple of years ago. This one is translated from the Japanese by Yuki Tejima. And this is about a woman called Rika who is asked to interview a statue at a museum, and she talks to this statue in Latin. It's more, I guess, not absurdist, but slightly more weird than her first book that was translated into English, Diary of a Void. And I am enjoying that a lot, but I haven't read enough to really tell you much about it yet, so we'll hold off till I finished it. Then I purchased this short story collection, which is Oddbody by Rose Keating, because it has got quotes on the front by Kirsty Logan, by Lisa McInerney, Lucy Rose, Camilla Godrova, and then we've got Yanga on the back. Just so many people whose names I recognise and whose work I have really enjoyed. So I thought I would give this one a go too. The blurb of this says, Oddbody is a collection of 10 bold and unsettling short stories that confront themes of desire, fear and shame, each one asking how far the bounds of the human form can be pushed, stretched and subverted. A woman finds herself navigating a codependent relationship with a ghost. A waitress gives birth to an egg during her breakfast shift. A doctor puts his patient on a cleanse to purify her mind, body and soul. I think it was that a waitress gives birth to an egg during her breakfast shift that I particularly love the sound of. So I might save that one for, Halloween time. And then this is Nina Minga Powell's new poetry collection. It's called In the Hollow of the Wave. I love Nina's writing. If you haven't read her memoir, Tiny Moons, what are you doing with yourself? Go and read it. It will also make you super hungry. So have lots of delicious food in the house when you read it. But her poetry is fantastic. This is a follow-on to her collection Magnolia, and this says that it is a collection that examines Orientalism, art making in a time of ecological crisis. Powles examines creation and craft as a radical act of love, reclamation and resistance to the shadow of colonial legacies and attitudes. I mean, reading the summary of a poetry collection doesn't always do it for me, so what I tend to do is read sample poems from inside. I didn't really need to do that with Nina's work because I know that I love her stuff, but go and read a few sample poems. I will link her in the description box down below. I just adore her work. Then two books that I've been sent for review. The first one I am so beyond excited about, and I didn't know it was coming out, and I didn't know this book was being sent to me, and I don't normally accept unsolicited review copies because, I don't want to be wasteful. There's only so much time in the day, but this one was one I was very happy to receive because Natsuo Kirino has a new book that's out in translation this month, and it is called Swallows. I have read Natsuo Kirino's book Out, and as I've mentioned before in this channel, I loved the first 4/5, hated the ending with a passion, but still think about it so much and have so much affection for it. This one is translated from the Japanese by Lisa Hoffman Kuroda, and this is about a 29-year-old woman called Rika who is sick of being in a dead-end job since she moved to Tokyo from the countryside. So when someone offers her the chance of becoming a surrogate in return for a life-changing amount of money, it's hard to turn down. But how much of herself will she be forced to give away? And then you also follow the story from the other side. Retired ballet star Mottley and his wife Yuko, who have spent years trying to conceive and then decide they're going to use a surrogate. But as they try to exert ever more control over Ricky, their contract with her starts to slip through their fingers. I'm sure this is going to be a wild ride because her books always are. And then this one I have been sent from Tinder Press. It's still got the ribbon around it, which it arrived in, which I need to cut free. I won't do it right this second, but this one is called The Dinner Party by Viola van der Sandt. And this, as you may know, is a book whose premise I really love the sound of because I love books set around food, around dinner parties. And this is about a couple who are hosting a dinner party and something really shocking happens right before everyone else arrives, and then they have to get on with the rest of the evening. And I don't really want to know more than that. This also arrived with a menu that the publisher had printed out for the evening, which I thought was quite a nice touch. This is coming out in November and it's giving me creepy vibes, and the cover, at least the proof cover, is reminding me of My Husband by Maud Venture, and I'm sure that comparison is deliberate given the way that cover designs work. So we'll see how I get on with this one 2. Okay, now we're moving on to most anticipated releases, and as I said, some of these have recently come out and I just don't have copies of them yet, but I'll insert covers as we go. So the first one is Lamb by Lucy Rose. It says, Margot and her mama have lived in the forest since Margot can remember. When Margot isn't at school, they spend quiet days together in their cottage, waiting for strangers to knock on their door. Strays, Mama calls them. Mama loves the strays. She feeds them wine, keeps them warm, then she satisfies her burning appetite by picking apart their bodies. But Mama's want is stronger than her hunger sometimes, and when a white-toothed stray named Eden turns up in the heart of a snowstorm, little Margot must confront the shifting dynamics of her family, untangle her own desires, and make a bid for freedom. So this is it says a tender coming of age tale, but obviously sounds really creepy too. I am thinking of things like Claire Powell's Woman Eating and Briefly a Delicious Life by Nell Stevens. I would like it to be different to those books, but also equally wonderful, thank you please. Then we've got Immaculate Conception by Ling Huang. The blurb of this one is quite long. I don't want to read the whole blurb out to you. I only read blurbs if it's what enticed me to want to pick up the book in the first place. And the whole blurb of this did, but I don't think I need to regale it for you here. So it says Mathilde is a dizzyingly, there we go. Mathilde is a dizzyingly talented, tortured artist whose star is on the rise, and Enka, struggling to create art that feels original, is immediately drawn to her. So I think they kind of have a bit of a obsession with each other, and then they go their separate ways, and then things become really complicated. And I mean, I keep on like referring to other books, but I guess if the premise of a book slightly reminds me of another book that I love but doesn't sound like a copy of it, just, you know, ticks certain boxes for me, then I'm intrigued. And this book is giving me The Subtweet by Vivek Shraya, which was one of my favourite books a couple of years ago, so I'm kind of hoping it's a bit like that. It says blisteringly smart, thought-provoking and eerily timely, Immaculate Conception definitely navigates big questions of art, technology, authorship and what makes us human. Okay, then we've got The Girls Who Grew Big by Leila Mottley, and I thought this might be on this year's Booker Prize long list because she was on the Booker Prize a few years ago with her debut, but alas, she is not. Still, I look forward to reading it. I don't know too much about this one except for it's about a group of women who are bringing up children in difficult circumstances, and I think one of them was considering either giving their child up for adoption or getting their family to bring up their child, and I think other people who are also in difficult circumstances persuade her that they can be, you know, her village and they can bring up the children together. That's the gist of it that I'm getting from the blurb. Her writing is exquisite, so I really look forward to reading that one. Next we have got Influenced by Anna Whitehouse. So I loved her book Underbelly, which came out a few years ago, which she co-wrote with her husband. Anna is very present on social media, and the way she writes about social media in novels is the best I think I've ever read, because often people who use social media as huge plot devices in their novels aren't people who do social media for a job, and Anna does do it for a job. So she manages to really harness and definitely articulate the pros and cons of social media without sounding sensationalist. So this one is called Influenced, which I'm guessing is also going to be about social media. It says, her life was perfect, now she wants revenge. Alexandra is falling apart, she's just lost her job, her husband barely acknowledges her existence, and her daughters hate her. The only place she feels truly seen is online. She loves nothing more than the rush of emotion when she sees a blinking notification, a heart on one of her posts. Here, in this filtered reality, this community of women means she doesn't feel quite so alone after all, until one day, something changes, and she'll do anything in her power to make it right. There we go. So then we have the original by Nell Stevens. Now, I know nothing about this. I know it's historic. I assume it's going to be queer, but I absolutely loved her book Briefly a Delicious Life, which was a queer love story about a ghost haunting a monastery. This one is set in Oxfordshire in 1899, and yeah, I don't really want to know more. It's going to be funny. It's going to be sexy. I'm excited. Then we've got The Wax Child by Olga Ravn. This is translated from the Danish by Martin Aitken, and it's coming out, I think, in November. Now, Olga Ravn's book, The Employees, was one of my favourite books 2 years ago. I want to say it was shortlisted for or longlisted for the International Booker, which is how I discovered it and I just was obsessed with it. This one sounds so different to The Employees, which was a futuristic sci-fi novel set in space. This is a historic novel set in the 1620s, yeah, in Denmark, based on a historic witch trial, and is about a woman who creates a wax child and carries it around in her pocket, and I think it comes alive. So yeah, sign me up for that one too. Creepy. Excellent. Then I think a book that is already out. This is Raw Content by Naomi Shield. No, it's Raw Content by Naomi Booth, who is the author of a book called Sealed that I read 2 years ago when I was pregnant, and shouldn't have read it when I was pregnant because it's a dystopian horror novel about a woman who's 8 months pregnant, and it made me so deeply anxious. But the reason it made me so anxious is because it was brilliantly written and I fully believed everything that was happening. So go read that book, but don't read it if you're pregnant. So this one is about a woman called Grace, whose work requires her to be careful. She spends her days reading and editing legal case files, making sure the latest judgments are published as quickly and as accurately as possible. It says that outside her work, Grace is not a careful person and she becomes unexpectedly pregnant. And now maybe this in my time of life now is not a book I should be reading, because then she has the baby and she starts to think about all the terrible things that might accidentally happen to this child. So maybe this is a book I need to keep for later. I don't know. It says tender, gripping and life-affirming. Raw Content tells the story of a woman grappling with a new form of love that feels like a disaster. I'm going to think about that one more before I purchase it, but I will read it at some point. Okay, next is a series of books that I have pre-ordered that are being shipped out in August. I've talked about this press before. They are Strangers Press. They are an independent publisher based in Norwich, and they publish work in translation. They publish little chapbooks, pamphlets by authors, normally short stories or a few short stories bundled together, and they bring out series of work, say of Japanese work in translation or Korean work in translation. They've got a series of Dutch books, etc, etc. Now this is their new series of Japanese chapbooks in translation, which look absolutely beautiful. All the things they publish are gorgeous. So this is a set of 5. So we've got The Three Crabs, which is a story of rootlessness and dissolution set in Vietnam era America, centered around a party and a crucial 24 hours in the life of a housewife. Then we have got Kamachi Pictures, which is 2 stories that consider the slipperiness of memory, partnerships, loss, and the stories men and women tell each other. After that, we've got Then Why Ask Me to Come, which is about a story around a barbecue, which takes place during a pandemic lockdown. We have got Unknown Dog of Nobody, which is a disorienting, surprising, and intriguing story. A strange organ-like creature is discovered in a styrofoam box before being taken in to be cared for by a family over many years. That one really sounds right up my street. And then finally we've got The God of the Word, which is a witty and wry retelling of a myth history. So yeah, that one will be coming my way this month. In January we've got Glyph by Ali Smith coming out. So last year we had Glyph, G-L-I-F-F, and this time it is Glyph spelled G-L-Y-P-H. All the blurb says is, it sounds like Glyph, well it's something else altogether. Glyph follows Ali Smith's 2024 novel Glyph and tells a story hidden in the first story. I mean, it's very Ali Smith, isn't it? And I'm here for it. Then we've got The Old Fire by Eliza Shiwadasapan, which is coming out in January. And this one is translated from the French by Anissa Abbas Higgins. I think she translates all of her work as far as I'm aware. I have loved Eliza's previous work. I still need to read the Vladivostok Circus, but I've read everything else and particularly loved her book, The Pachinko Parlor. I thought that one was gorgeous, and all of her books sound so different to each other as well, in a kind of Margaret Atwood way. So it says, The Old Fire. In the wake of her father's death, Agatha leaves New York and returns to her childhood home in the French countryside after 15 years away. So it's about sisters and their relationship, and exploration of time and memory, of family and belonging, the unsaid and the unanswered. Then 2 other books that Daunt Books are publishing. They also publish Eliza Shiwadasapan. We have got Beautiful Distance by Yamazaki Nao-Cola, and also Don't Laugh at Other People's Sex Lives by the same author. And these are translated by Polly Barton, who I adore as a translator. And I have really enjoyed Yamazaki's work when I've read it before. They had pamphlets published by Strangers Press in previous collections of Japanese chapbooks. So Beautiful Distance is about an unnamed narrator who sits in a cafe overlooking a train station, sipping on a green juice and people watching as he prepares to visit his dying wife in hospital. And then Don't Laugh at Other People's Sex Lives is about an art student who begins an affair with one of their tutors and about the complicated feelings that they have around that. And then finally, my last book that I'm highly anticipating, and there will be more coming out in 2026. Oh, in fact, I've got two to mention. So Alice Melvin writes children's books, and she has a series of books. The first one is called Mouse's Wood, and I've spoken about those before. They are absolutely gorgeous. And she has been sharing illustrations from her new mouse book. I thought maybe those books were over because there are already 3, and often these things come out as a trilogy, but no, there's going to be a 4th one, and it's going to be set in the Scottish Highlands, and I assume that's coming out next year. Very exciting. And then in summer we have got All In by Claire Powell. I saw that she had announced that on her Instagram the other day, and I loved her first book, which was called At the Table. If you're looking for a novel, like a family drama, again set around food, then I would highly recommend that one. I know nothing about her new book, and I don't need to. I look forward to reading that when it comes out. So those are all the updates that I wanted to give you, all the books that I have been reading, want to read, will be talking about soon in the Booker Prize reading vlog, etc. Please let me know what you've been reading recently in a comment down below, and also any books that you are anticipating for the rest of this year and also looking ahead to next year. And thank you so much for being here. If you enjoy my videos and you're not yet subscribed, please click the subscribe button. And if you like the content I put out and you would like to consider supporting me over on Patreon, Patreon is a place where you can tip creators for the free content that they put out, and there's some extra content over there on my Patreon, like a book club, bookish quizzes, some discussions, behind the scenes stuff, and all of that. You can check that out. I'll link it in the description box down below, but it's £1/$1 a month if you want to join it, and it would be lovely to see you over there, and the support I receive over there allows me to keep creating free content for you here. I'm sending lots of love, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye.